summer rain, and the sun. They bring malaria. Malaria is the scourge of Africa, where it kills maybe 2 million children and many adults every year. This woman has the classic symptoms: high fever, severe headache, exhaustion. She could be dead in 2 days. In the northeast of the country, South Africa wages a war against malaria that's probably the continent's most effective. Anybody who drops by this clinic gets a blood test, which will be looked at in the lab while they wait. With heavy rains, 1996 was an epidemic year throughout southern Africa. But here they kept cases down to 20,000, with 20 deaths. Neighboring Zimbabwe had 2 million cases with 2,000 deaths. Here's that very sick patient's blood slide, with the telltale rings of the malaria parasite visible within the cells. She gets treatment on the spot, and she'll rapidly recover. In the undeveloped Northeast, populations are isolated in the bush, so the malaria program uses multiple ways to reach people. Word went out a few days ago that there would be a mass screening here, with the usual heavy response. Over the years, they've managed to ward off racial politics and avoid any hint of Big Brother. There's no other way, says Sipho Ngongo, health director for the region.
Without that cooperation, you might as well forget you won't be able to control malaria. But if you build the trust, the confidence among the people, you work with them, you draw programs with them, then you can see this type of response.
Several hundred health workers on bicycles are the program's front line. They're always recruited locally because their job is to locate and visit every single homestead in the area. They make about 20 calls a day. They take blood smears and hand out prophylactic malaria pills. If the smears are positive, there will be follow-up visits until the patient is cured. Here's a follow-up to one positive, a child who attended the mass screening. Every case gets this kind of investigation. The first thing the health worker wants to know is, has the child been across to Mozambique, where malaria is uncontrolled? The mother says he hasn't. The child is treated, and then the team sets about finding the source. Since mosquitoes bite at night, Boy's sleeping hut is the obvious place to look. There should be insects here, themselves infected with the malaria parasite. A quick-acting insecticide will get to them. A few minutes later, the sheet will reveal nothing. And that calls into question the backbone of the malaria control program, attacking the mosquito.
This is a mosquito called Anopheles arabiensis. You can almost call it like a mosquito factory. This is where we actually raise and keep the mosquitoes going, which we then use in various experimentation.
In David Lasser's lab in Durban, millions of mosquitoes have been raised, but none carries malaria. For that, a mosquito has to first bite an infected person. Then it transmits the parasite by biting someone else. So if you kill the mosquito, you break the chain.
The whole of southern Africa currently relies on going around to every house and spraying insecticide onto the walls of those houses.
Every house? You must go to every hut in South Africa, every house, and spray the walls?
Throughout the country, the structures that are sprayed run into the millions.
In areas close to the border, each house is sprayed once a year. Until recently, DDT was used, but now they're switching to a more environmentally friendly alternative. The new chemical was tested on a range of typical house-building materials. Back at the lab, a standard dose of insecticide is applied. Then mosquitoes from the breeding colony are selected. No? How many do you have there?
We can see.
Let's see. 8, 9. Oh,
Yeah.
make that 7. Don't,
Now we can see at
don't
least,
breathe in when you laugh.
Yeah, we can see at least, I can see 10 here.
10.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll
No, okay.
now introduce them here.
Now you blow them in, huh?
Yeah.
The mosquitoes take up their normal resting position on the wall, where they come in contact with the insecticide. If the chemical works, they'll succumb and drop off. The alarming thing is, some mosquitoes have figured out how to beat the system. Here's what happens. At night, mosquitoes home in on the CO2 we breathe out. They fly inside and typically head directly for their victim. They bite, injecting an anticoagulant to help them suck in blood. The malaria parasite is carried by the anticoagulant. Here's the big change. Many mosquitoes now just fly right out again without settling on the walls, so they never come in contact with the insecticide. Of course, the mosquitoes haven't actually figured anything out. It's just that long-term spraying has killed off the majority that always settled on the walls, leaving the few that don't to survive and multiply. Going after mosquito breeding sites like cattle hoofprints is one of the new approaches that must be developed before the disease has a chance to build up again. Many breeding sites just come and go, so this approach isn't easy. And spraying so much land is an environmental hazard. Nets over beds is another possibility, although people here aren't accustomed to them. Meanwhile, the program has found itself with an unexpected bonus. Recently, the health workers have been mapping the coordinates of every house they visit using accurate satellite GPS systems. The information comes back to the lab.
This is the high-risk area next to the Mozambique border, and the major corridor that people move through is through here, between the Ndumu Game Reserve and the Tembe Elephant Park. And if we just look at this in a bit more detail, then the actual dot in the middle is actually the location of a family. So that's actually a family's house, which was obtained with one of these global positioning systems. So the guys going around the bicycle actually positioned that house.
This detailed portrait of a remote area was just what the new government needed to bring in new services. You were collecting this information to find out about the concentration of malaria in an area.
Right.
And the power companies were able to come to you and say, we want to know where the people are concentrated so we can bring power to those areas where there are more people.
And we can also plot every school. So for the education authorities, we could tell them where all the small rural schools were. And that was the first phase of power supply. They wanted all the schools to be supplied. We could tell them where we mapped all the clinics. We mapped all the traditional leaders, so the chiefs and the ndunas. So we've, in fact, although it was driven by malaria control, it's turned out to be this broad-based information platform which is useful to all aspects of development.
For the future, this extraordinary program may actually lead to better foreign relations for South Africa. Sipho Ngongo is now looking north and to the day when he'll be out of a job.
We need to work with our neighbors if we're actually going to be controlling malaria and eventually eradicating it. Because we are not living in an island. There are other countries which are around us. We need to work with them.